One evening, when I was a junior in high school, my mom and dad went out, leaving me home alone. I had a lot of homework to do, so I spent the whole evening sitting at my desk in my bedroom. My parents left the house around 6 p.m. While I was doing homework, I put my headphones on and listened to loud music. There was a storm that night, and my desk was facing the window, so I could see the rain and the lightning outside. My parents came home around 11 p.m. When I saw their car drive up, I took off my headphones. As soon as my mom opened the front door and came inside, I heard her shout my name. "What on earth happened here?" she demanded in an angry voice. Confused, I ran downstairs. My mom was standing in the hallway with a furious look on her face. She pointed at the floor and yelled, "Was this you?" I looked down and saw the carpet was covered in muddy footprints. I have no idea how those got there. I spent the whole night at my desk doing my homework. I watched as her face changed from anger to confusion and then to fear. We both realized at the same time someone must have been in the house. We followed the trail of footprints, trying to make sense of the whole situation. They started at the back door, which we usually leave unlocked. Then we noticed something else. The footprints started at the back door, but there is no trail of the footprints going back through that door. All of a sudden, we hear a loud, pounding noise that echoed throughout the house, then the sound of the front door being wrenched open and slamming shut. We all ran into the garage and locked the door behind us. My mom took out her cell phone and called the police. "Please come quickly. There's someone in our house." After what seemed like hours, a patrol car arrived with 2 police officers, a male and a female. One of the officers stayed with us in the garage, while his partner went through the house, searching it room by room. When she came back, the female officer told us that there was no one in the house and it was safe to go back in. As we were all breathing a sigh of relief, she asked, "Whose bedroom is upstairs on the left?" My parents looked at me. "It's mine," I told the officer. She asked me to follow her. As we walked through the house, we could see the trail of the muddy footprints leading from the back door, through the living room, through the hallway and up the stairs, into my parents' bedroom, and towards my room. They stopped at my doorway. The female officer pointed at the door, which had been open the whole night. Scrawled on it in blue marker was the following: 8:47, I see you. 8:53, you forgot to lock your back door. 8:59, you seem focused. 9:27, turn around. 9:47, look at me. 10:15, look at me. 10:37, look at me. 10:49, look at me. For more than 2 hours, someone had been standing in my doorway, watching me. To this day, I still shudder to think of what would have happened if I would have turned around.
Note: this was during the day, and also I was a freaking cute kid. Imagine big brown eyes, dark brown hair, pale face with a beauty spot and a cheeky smile. Also, I was very outgoing towards other people, as stranger danger wasn't the style yet. So when I was around 2 or 3, 29-year-old female here, my mom took me to Myers in Penrith. We were walking around and looking at stuff. I was the type of kid to not really pay much attention to stuff that didn't interest me, so I kind of wandered off into the Lego section. When I was done looking around, I noticed my mom was nowhere in sight. I started to get a little freaked out when I went up to hug my mom, and the woman who turned around wasn't her. She was just wearing the same jumper. So, dumb-arse me walks through the aisles, and there's Mom. I ran up to her and threw my arms around her. Nope, that woman in the same jumper again. I figured I'd look around the store for my mom, seeing as I was alone, and by that time a little scared. So I'm walking around, and I see these 2 old ladies walk up to me. They must be nanas, so they'll be nice. They ask me if I'm lost, and I start to get a little teary and tell them I can't find my mummy. They say they'll help me look, and they give me a lifesaver lolly to cheer me up. So we start walking around, looking for my mom, and by that time, I was holding each of their hands. They were walking on either side of me. We're walking close to the entrance of the store when I spot my mom. By this time, I told them about the woman in the jumper, so they tell me it's probably that woman again. But no, I was sure this time it was my mom, and she was at the service desk. Mom later tells me it's because she was asking them to call me on the PA, because she couldn't find me anywhere. So I start to walk over to her, when they kind of maneuver me out of the store and away from Mom. They kept telling me they'd help me find my mom, and to just come with them. I managed to pull my hands free and leg it towards Mom. I was so happy to see her that I just start crying and hugging her. The ladies walk up to Mom and tell her they were trying to help find her, and Mom thanks them, and they make a hasty exit. It was only later that afternoon, when I was telling Mom what happened, that it kind of dawned on me that they didn't want me to go near Mom. I know it doesn't sound that scary, but still, 26 to 27 years later, I still feel that creepy feeling like I might not have made it home if I hadn't have wriggled and ran for all it was worth.
I was vacuuming my house at 9:30 p.m. with my music playing when I get a knock at my door. My boyfriend was at work and I wasn't expecting company, especially so late at night. I turned the music down and realized the door was not locked. Instantly, I'm terrified. I'm only 4'10", so I had to prop myself up the wall to look through the peephole and carefully lock the door. More pounding. The man outside my door is no one I recognize and looks disgruntled, dirty, and quite frightening. He was short and stocky and looked angry. He grew frustrated, knowing I just turned down my music. He heard me lock the door and started calling out, "Ma'am." More knocking. "Excuse me, ma'am. How the fuck did he know I was a woman?" I look around the room and I see that my blinds are open, and I realize he must have been watching me vacuum. Thankfully, my neighbors right across from me opened their doors, and the husband asked, "Who are you, and what are you doing?" Startled, the creep fumbles and says, "Oh, good evening, sir. I was just gonna offer my carpet cleaning services to her." The husband goes, "That's great. She doesn't want it. You need to leave, right now." Creep left promptly. Afterwards, I called the police, my boyfriend, and I closed my blinds and texted the neighbors to thank them for scaring him away. I paid extra to live on the top floor, but it seems this creep was watching me from below. It was about 12:30 or 1 a.m. and I was driving home from the movie theater. My friends and I had just watched The Conjuring, which put my mind in a creepiness-fueled, hyper-aware state. I was driving through the downtown in my not small, not big town, and downtown is kinda like an old, historical-looking district. Usually, there are very large crowds of people outside of this one downtown bar called The Grove, but it was raining and drizzling. Even though it was raining, it was a Saturday night, and I live in a part of Florida where people learn not to care about light rain, so I was a little surprised to literally see no one. No one but this lone woman. I'm at a red light next to the Grove, and I see this lone woman standing at the edge of the intersection that I'm stopped at. She's not moving, she's just standing on the sidewalk to the right of me, staring about 45 degrees up into the sky, in the direction that I am currently headed at. I look at her as the light changes to green, and I drive past. I drive slowly, almost hoping for her to look down and make eye contact, because the way she was staring upward was confusing and discomforting. She doesn't look down at me though. She just keeps staring upward down the road that I'm driving on. So I pass her and just think to myself, that girl's freaking weird. Whatever. I hope she's okay to get home, or something like that. I had driven down the road several blocks, still thinking about how weird the girl was. Then I see a man standing alone on the sidewalk to the left of the road that I'm on, almost perfectly mirroring the girl. The man is standing there completely staring up in a 45-degree angle into the sky, but he's looking directly in the direction of the girl. At the very least, the two were 4 blocks away from each other. There's literally no way they could see each other, but they are both looking at the same exact direction of each other, just up into the sky. What were they looking at? Why were they alone? Why were they not moving? I still haven't guessed the reason to any of these. What did I drive under? My old house was pretty pumped up on security. We had a finger ID, passcodes on the door, cameras everywhere, an automatic security system that would call the police or play a fake "the cops have been called" message. The story happened a few years back. My dad noticed a weird looking man, pretty covered up, lurking on the street just outside of our house. We thought nothing of it since sometimes you get an occasional drunk or high person wandering around your neighborhood. But this man started to inch up closer to our home, first being on the opposite side of the street, then before we knew it, being basically on our property. We just sort of watched him to see what he would do. I'm pretty sure we got bored and walked away, and just forgot. Then we started hearing strange noises coming from the downstairs, where our front door was. We decided to switch on the camera, and sure enough, this guy is banging on our door trying to get in, and then he looks through the window. He gave up, but then started to go around the side. There was a set of stairs that led into an upper area where we were. He starts to head upstairs, which sent my dad to go to the side of the house that the man was on with a knife and scream at him. The guy runs and we don't see him again. That's the end, right? Wrong. The guy comes back later. I guess he saw the car was gone from the driveway. My dad had gone to get something, leaving me and my mom. We didn't want to confront the guy, so we had the idea of playing the fake cop alert that could be heard outside. So we played it, and as soon as the guy heard it, he ran. Never saw him again, and never want to. What makes this story creepier is on the news later, it showed a guy that had been lurking around houses and actually killed people, had just been arrested. It was the same man who was at our house.